I'll watch it.
Welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have you here. Hello, everyone. I'm going to turn it over to one of our graduates, Sarah Reed, who is going to introduce you all. We thank you for joining us.
I think you were referring to Tara, right, Jonica?
Sarah Reed.
Oh, I'm introducing everyone. Okay, sorry about that. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to introduce everyone. My name is Sarah Reed. I'm the University Registrar at UC Berkeley. I'm all about everything Ascend. I'd like to introduce several folks on the call. We've got Tara Kent, a fellow C4 cohort. We have Delonte LaFleur, also a fellow C4 cohort. And Jonica Nixon, of course, who is our extraordinaire Ascend coordinator who helps everything Ascend, keeps us centered. And then Belma, Belma, I don't know if I've ever said your last name, is Sandikovic, I think is how it's pronounced, who also supports Ascend behind the scenes administratively, a wealth of support. And then Jam, our C4 cohort extraordinaire, is also on the call. Did I miss anyone? Is there anyone else? C5? Okay, perfect. Yep. So we've got the whole
I
a
think
good
you do have
C4
a
cohort crew.
C5. Del, are you there? Is she? No, I don't see her anymore. Well, if she is, raise your hand. We'd love to. There she is. So we do have a C5 current scholar on the line as well. So we welcome Dr. Dale Murray. I'm Jonica. Thank you so much, Sarah, for introducing our team who will be talking with you today. Our conversation is committing to the climb. You all know about it. I want to go into our first question. So we have a poll, and we'd love to get your feedback for that. If I can get it to, we were having some technical difficulties, and now it's not moving forward. Hold on one second.
Well, while we're doing that, feel free to put any questions in the chat. Those of us who are in there will be happy to respond while we're going through the questions. We just want you all to feel comfortable and connected.
Yes. Is the poll viewable? Can you all see it?
I still see those lines on it, Jonica.
Ah, all right. We're gonna try again. How are we doing? Great.
Awesome.
There you go.
If you all could either open up another tab on your browser or use your phone, you can join me by taking your phone, scanning the QR code. It'll take you directly to the question, or you can type in slido.com and join this particular poll, which is 4215124. And we just like to get a lay of who all is here. Where are you sitting? What is it that you do? One question that I get a lot is where do I fall, particularly if you're in a learner services area. So we have a lot of people who've been in veterans. We consider that learner services. Academic affairs actually falls under records and academic services. If you're a student success coordinator like Jessica is, if you've fallen under financial aid, that would be learner services. If you sit on the academic affairs side, that is academic services. So please let us know who is in the room. We're always curious. And these are all of the proficiency areas that ACRO as an association pretty much manages in regards to the work that we do. It is focused on the enrollment process, but as we'll talk about a little bit later, enrollment is not just limited to the front door of your institution. It's also the graduation. It's also the services that support student matriculation, student success, student retention, student persistence. So ACRO is open to all who are interested in learning more about enrollment. I have another question. So this one is a type-in question, and it's asking what are the key challenges and concerns in both your personal and professional life that you feel are affecting you as a mid-level professional today? For me, I should be definitely joining in. It's finishing up my dissertation, right? So you're
Yeah.
working, but there we go, Delante. I know Jam is also in her program as well. Cohort 5, Dell just literally just defended not even a month ago. So again, you're in the program, you're doing professional development, you're working on your own career engagement. Is it not allowing feedback? Yes, perfect. And so we'd love to know what your thoughts are. What are you dealing with? Oh, we got someone in the MBA. Kudos, kudos. I'm also a caregiver. I've been going to a lot of workshops about caregiving, right? So balancing the personal and professional when you're not just, say, a parent, but you're taking care of relatives, you're taking care of your parents, you're taking care of siblings. All of those go into your personal and your professional, right? You're trying to balance this thing and you're thinking about, okay, professional development, how do I fit that in?
Was that
Definitely.
not my life during this cohort? Was that not how I operated?
And Jam can share if she feels comfortable with some of the things that she has experienced during this. Low compensation. Say that
Mm.
for people in the back. I
I'm in the
get
back. That's me.
But already we're finding a family and friends in this, right? We're not alone as we're continuing to go about life, and we are. I love this, navigating relationships with other units on campus in the face of changes to our current unit. Those are huge. I consistently feel like I'm drowning in work due to so many stakeholders missing deadlines. Oh my gosh. I just had a situation today where it was like, how many times do I need to do your job so that you could do your job? Yes. So frequently people tell me you need more help. I really like to do more strategic work, limited opportunities to move up, leadership challenges, working on professional pursuits, academic pursuits. These are great. Thank you so much for sharing. How often do we get to like really sit down and say, this is what's happening? Balancing time, taking children to sports, people listening and responding and not listening to understand. I've heard moving up. So we've seen this be a reoccurring theme, right? Work-life balance. Seems there's never enough time in the day, let alone the month. Leadership challenge and workforce development. Limited recognition. Absolutely. I just went to an amazing workshop about women in the workplace and the amount of bias that exists with women in the workplace. And it was around performance evaluations. Women typically receive, I don't care who you are, I don't care what racial or ethnic background you are, 66% of women receive negative feedback compared to 1% of men. So even when you are doing good, you can't even get, hey, good job. So what does that mean? And how does that affect us? And how do we move and navigate in that space where we feel like recognition is something that we need to know? Equitable processes for being promoted and moving up. Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. And I have one last one, right? So considering all of that, ACRO has about 11 competencies. I'm wondering if you were to think about your journey, where you're looking to go, if you're thinking about advancement, where do you feel you would be most empowered if you enhanced your level of competency? Would it be change management? Would it be collaborative decision making? Would it be diversity and inclusion, holistic and systemic thinking? That's more of the strategy someone mentioned earlier. Interpretation and application of institutional and external data. So data analysis, problem solving, professional integrity, communication, technological knowledge. So that can be the use of AI or doing more with AI. And I think it was problem solving was the last one. Ooh, leadership and management. We're going to have a fun conversation today. Awesome, awesome. And you can choose up to 5. Got it. And professional development and contributions to the field. Huge. And that can be many different things, right? Writing articles, feeling like you know, presenting at conferences, so on and so forth. So please continue to provide some feedback to that question. We're going to move forward. I wanted to frame this conversation, and I have the agenda here, which are 3 points, but I don't want to stay here because I do want us to have a larger and broader conversation. So I'm actually certified as a career development specialist through NCDA. And a part of the work that I did when I was an academic advisor for years before moving into enrollment was looking at lifespans, right? We talk to students all the time about this, about where they are, where they're going, how they get there. Most of the students that we talk to are in the exploration and establishment phase. Now, let's frame this a little bit for us. So we're in the establishment/maintenance phase, depending on what age you are. And again, this is dated. But I do love how Super really did good work for a number of years, helping us understand what this life rainbow is. So typically you will find that mid-career professionals, depending on age, right, are settling into their careers, but at the same time, they're trying to adjust and improve their position. So what does that mean, right? How do we move? And we have all of these things happening at the same time. So even though it says a child, you're still somebody's child. Somebody still is like, that's my baby. I want you to call me. I need you to check in. I need you to let me know who you are, right? I mean, that can be a godparent. It can even be your pastor, right? But you're in the care of someone. Someone is loving you, right? Sometimes we are students for way longer, right? We've seen this with our own students, but we've also seen this with us going back to school. Leisure right. We're also a citizen. Remember to vote. You're also working, so you're employed, but you're also a homemaker, whether you're a solo or you're doing it with a partner or community. You could be a parent, but again, I would like to add on caregiver, right? Because we don't talk about that enough. But you have all of these life roles that you are balancing. And we're thinking, how do we make that work, especially when it comes to career development and us looking at the maintenance stage. So the maintenance stage can also be mid-level or mid-career. And 5 good things or trends for us at that time is what we're thinking about. And you all said it. Y'all focused on number 4. So number 4 should have been number 1, work-life balance, but it's also preserving skills and knowledge, exploring new opportunities within the role, mentorship and coaching, figuring out what that means for us, and then career planning. Do I stay in my current role? Do I move to a new role? Do I want to stay at my institution? Do I not want to stay at my institution? Am I getting all of my needs met? Am I not getting my needs met? That is constantly happening for us, right? It is a railroad derailment waiting to happen, but somehow we get up every morning and we are conscious and we make the things happen, right? We're still talking to people, we're still engaging with people. If we don't do those things, what could be some negatives that happen? Stagnation and boredom, reduced productivity and engagement, morale, also mentioned earlier, right? When we're not recognized, when we feel like there's no room to move up. Difficulty in adapting to changes in the industry and the workplace, right? And you all mentioned that when you were saying leadership and management, but also being able to contribute to the field. And then limited career mobility. So like what happens next? So I wanted to center that, right? So that we can understand we are in this place together, always thinking about our career development, even when we're like, it's on the back burner. Because why else are you in an MBA or a doctoral program, right? And if you're not in the career development stage for yourself, if you're taking kids to sports, clearly you're in some type of career and social development for them. But we also work at institutions of higher education that naturally encourage us and inspire us to want to do more. We're running across kids and learners who are constantly doing great things. And we're like, there's still something great in me. I remember that spark. But what's happening in enrollment? And you all kind of mentioned this, so I won't stay here long, but it's a really good book called The Agile College. And I'm sure there are other ones that have been out there since that really just lets you know enrollment is everyone's job, right? So if I know this, if I know that I need career advancement, if I know that there's something that I need to even, and career advancement doesn't always mean I'm moving up in position. It means that I know I'm connected to the field of work that I do so that I can continue to move the needle, so that I can be strategic, so that I can work smarter, not harder. But in this book, really, the Agile College is talking about enrollment being everyone's job, right? What Ascend does, and this is what our team will talk about, is how they balance engaging with Ascend with all of their life challenges. And I love that I have these 4 people because these 4 people got some life challenges. But life challenges aren't always bad. It's how you mitigate, how you navigate. But what is Ascend? Ascend is a leadership development program that elevates dedicated mid-level. So we focus on mid-level, higher education professionals historically excluded from leadership. And what we try to do is get them ready for strategic enrollment executive roles. This does not mean, because enrollment is everyone's job. I get this often, like, I'm not interested in enrollment. Why would I do this program? You're focused on the wrong verb. It's strategic. That is what we're doing. We're focusing on making sure that individuals are thinking about enrollment and how enrollment moves the needle for their particular institution, but everyone does enrollment. Enrollment is success. Enrollment is retention. Enrollment is recruitment. All those things are enrollment. So whether you are working at a Fortune 500 company or whether you're working at higher education, you are constantly doing enrollment. It's how do you be strategic about the leadership and management role that you do. At the same time, we focus on dismantling barriers, and we do that through our curriculum that empowers leaders to drive equity, spur innovation, and reshape the learner experience. Because what we know for individuals who are excluded is talent is universally distributed, but opportunity is emphatically not. So just some quick facts before we go into the conversation. I wanted you to understand and ground into what the program is before our cohort starts talking about the program and you're like, well, tell me more. How long is it? So the program runs for 9 months. The time commitment is literally 3 to 5 hours. And it is for anyone who is interested, not just in executive leadership as a position, but executive leadership as a thought process or a mindset. And we do that through meeting 3 times a month on Thursdays for 2 hours. And we also ask and invite our scholars to come to 2 conferences. So our upcoming conference, our 2025 conference, will be SIM, and that's going to be in Las Vegas. And then 2026 annual meeting is going to be in New Orleans. So those you will get complimentary registration, and then you will just need to take care of your logistics. At the end, you get a credential. The hugest and most impactful part is coaching, but I won't be the one to tell you that. I'll let my scholars tell you. And then it is cohort based. So this group right here, they're all graduating together and they know one another. So with that said, I completely turn it over to our moderator. And please ask questions. If you have questions, these are the individuals to answer them. To Dr. Tara Camp.
Hello, I'm so glad to have you here and to be a part of this. I just want the panel to just introduce themselves again and just provide the role that you're currently in and what inspired you to pursue the Ascend program. Sarah, do you want to start?
Sure. Happy to see you all. Hi again, Sarah Reed, University Registrar at UC Berkeley. I wanted to pursue this because I actually applied to Ascend right in the first year that I got my job at Berkeley. I've been here now starting my 3rd year. So right in my first year is when I applied. And part of the reason for that was I've worked at medium-sized and smaller institutions as a law school registrar in other roles. And when here at Berkeley, I knew that this scope was much broader, is what I was intending. But I also knew that a lot of my contacts in the industry were at smaller institutions or law school institutions. And I really wanted to make sure that the folks that were now in my new network, expanded network, were folks at my level, at similar institution types, and even more importantly to me, having grown up never really having direct mentorship, I wanted to work with other seasoned professionals. The coaching was really attractive to me, who had been in this role before, who had done this work before, who were experts at their work, just to talk through life stuff, to talk through professional stuff that I would be going through, and knowing that they had been down that path before. And then also just learning with a group of other folks who would then become part of my network, and just kind of talking through these things with them was just super attractive to me, beyond all the package stuff that Jonica has mentioned that's available to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Delante?
Hello, everyone. My name is Delante LaFleur. I am the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management and Director of Admissions at Chicago State University. I'm recently, I guess, actually, I can't believe it's about to be a year in December. And this was one of the transitions that happened during the program we're going to talk about. But I oversee our new student enrollment efforts, undergraduate admissions, and my portfolio is about to ready to change again soon. So it's a lot of transition. This program, originally I wanted to apply to the first cohort. I think it started during COVID. I wanted to apply, but I had a death in the family and I missed the deadline. What really gravitated me to want to do this program is my research. my research is focused on strategic enrollment management, and particularly is looking at how the application of SEM is being, what is the application of SEM at predominantly Black institutions, specifically looking at how it's being practiced, how SEM is structured, and how the outcomes are being measured using excellence in higher education framework. And so that, coupled with my end goal is to be a chief enrollment management officer, I wanted to participate in this program because it's so, a big part of its focus is diversifying the pipeline of future enrollment management leaders. And it gives you an introduction without overwhelming you with all of the different strategic enrollment management endorsement courses. And so it's like an introduction there, but it's also connecting with people who are at the same level and the same type of position mentally, as well as within their organization, and trying to look at that next. And so that was a big part of me wanting to apply for the role. I got, not the role, got the program. And I will tell you that it has done just that, and more. And I'm looking forward to chatting a little bit more about the impact of it. So yeah, that was the reason why I applied and wanted to participate in the program.
Thank you. And last but not least, Jam.
Hold on, I'm in Texas. Good afternoon. I am Jessica Ashley Miller, which is why my cohort mates call me Jam. I am perfectly fine with that for all purposes. I am a student success coach here at Dallas College, and I do not have the prolific dissertation that my two other cohort mates have given. I actually was voluntold by a graduate of cohort 3 that I needed to be a part of this program. We were co-workers at a previous institution where we were not invited to the tables of thought-provoking conversations. And so having those conversations amongst ourselves, networking being really big, she thought that it was a program that I could benefit from. I will be very transparent. I'm on the grounds. I do not sit at the table. I do not sit in the office. I see students. I see students day to day, day in and day out. And so for me, I did not think I should have been a part of this program. But I will say, do not be discouraged. I have learned so much. I gotta stop texting so I can see. I have done so much in this program that has changed my thought process, not just building the relationships, but thinking outside the box. I have worked in enrollment management from work study up until now. And so now I can see the bigger picture, which allows me to advocate for myself in their spaces. So I do sit at tables now that I didn't sit a year ago.
That's great. Investing in professional development is really crucial in today's rapidly changing landscape. What does it mean to you to invest in your professional development, and why do you believe it is more important now than ever?
I'll start. It's kind of like, if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to? If you don't take the time to pour into you, then why have the expectations for other people, especially employers and leaders, to pour into you? And so for me, investing in my professional development is joining cohorts such as this, stepping outside of the box. I knew about Ascend through ACRO. I knew about ACRO through my job, but I didn't know all that ACRO had to offer, right? I didn't know how to broaden my knowledge base. And I have the people who have instilled in me to change my thought process. It's okay to not know, but it's not okay not to go learn and get it and apply it. And so if I don't pour into me, how can I pour into others?
That's a very great point.
I think for me, I'm gonna try to answer it in a way that reduces the anxiety around professional development. So oftentimes we think that it has to be this grandiose type of experience, but professional development can be looked at in a lot of different ways. And the biggest element of that professional development is agency. You playing a big role in determining your knowledge, right? And so the K through 12 system uh, structures education where I'm teaching you this. And then college allows you to engage in more of a critical discourse, and then your master's to go in there. This is the same concept. Now you're going to challenge yourself to think differently. You're going to challenge yourself to think about what type of experience you want, whether it's in a structured standpoint like this in a cohort, whether it's online learning, or whether it's an article, or whether it's a webinar, whatever these different types of pieces, you have to be able to figure out what is it that how can you make it reduce the number of stress around it, and how can you make it more tangible for yourself? And I think it's very important because you want to continue to grow. You want to continue to push yourself outside your comfort zone. You have different goals. And so how does this align with your goals? And just, yeah, so I would just say that it's important in that sense. And the big part of that development is owning the experience through agency. And that's how you're able to reduce fear. That's how you're able to reduce the thought pattern. Do I belong here? Can I do this? It's just by gaining the sense of agency in it.
Thank you. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I can pass if you have other questions, but I'll just say in general, I think for me, it's meant a variety of different things. I was a super technical person. I did a lot of the work as a law school registrar. You do the work and you do the strategy, you do it all. And in my current role, it's much more strategy, managing teams and collaborating with folks across campus and using influence. And so I already knew the part of my skill set that I wanted to most use would be what I would need to really delve into much more further. And so I wanted to just work on that. I felt good about it, but I wanted to expand. And I think what's shifted for me throughout this program is it's not just the work. What's great about Ascend is we're also talking about the work-life balance, or prioritizing, like the little sub pieces of what that entails. So it's more of a holistic view. And why it's needed now more than ever is because stuff is coming down the pipeline. I think, I want to have things ready for myself, or folks to contact before I need it. Because in my current job, I might be expected to produce something and I don't have time to wait till next year's conference to talk to people, right? I need to have those contacts. I need to get that information quickly. And I think with AI and other developments, like our just work world has changed so much since the pandemic and beyond. And so being ready, or having some skill sets, or strengthening resilience and folks who you can talk to is extremely helpful.
Thank you, Sarah. Balancing, you opened up to segue to the next question. So as we know, nothing happens linearly in our careers or lives. Did any of you encounter obstacles, transitions, or balancing acts that required a unique approach or engagement during Ascend journey? And how did you navigate these challenges? And what role did your Ascend network play in supporting you through them?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
Where did I start? I started the program, just starting a new job, not even 90 days before I went to Seattle for the first time. I was in the midst of a doctoral program. I had just became a caretaker of my grandmother, was caretaker of my father, pulled in my 16-year-old niece, all while trying to maintain my head above ground, right? And Shanika will tell you, I kept saying, I have it, I have it, I have it. And then my grandmother passed in the middle of the program. And not even 30 days later, my dad passed in the middle of the program. And I was asked to quit, but let me just be honest, if it wasn't for the other 9 individuals that was going through this journey with me, if it wasn't for the leadership of Jonica, if it wasn't for the compassion of my coach, I probably would have quit this program. But I believe you have to face adversity. That's life. Life does life. You cannot stop it. You cannot change it. How you deal with it, how you approach it, how you move on, how you see it through is what matters the most. And so definitely had challenges, definitely felt days of, I don't want to do this. Definitely had days of, why am I doing this? Definitely had days of, this is not going to benefit me. Imposter syndrome kicked in, doubt kicked in, tiredness kicked in, but we saw it through. We all saw it through. And I know I'm not the only one who felt like that, who might have not went through as such a hard time, or I'm not going to compare apples to oranges, but I know every last one of my cohort mates walked through that. Why am I here? What is this purpose? Valley.
Thank you for sharing that and being transparent.
Absolutely.
I think for me, wow, I mean, this one's hits different. So at the University of Cincinnati, I was this director of admissions recruitment and outreach, overseeing our uptown office as well as our system offices, our two regional campuses, and being down about half of the staff when the recruitment cycle started. And trying to figure out how we manage that while continuing to have record year of applications and trying to manage all those types of pieces. That coupled with the untimely departure of my supervisor, the AVP, and then having to step up into that to take on many of those responsibilities for the second time. That coupled with the loss of my dad, then the navigating the sense of having to take custody of my baby brother, who's I had to move states, and so I had to go through the court system in order to do that and help him navigate now losing both parents, while being in the doctoral program, trying to finish my comprehensive exam at that particular time. And then feeling like now I needed to move back home because I needed to have support system for me and my brother. And so started a job search and landed a new role that brought me back home to Chicago. Moved my whole family, my wife and my baby brother, back to Chicago, where we was originally from. Working at an institution where I had to rebuild the Office of Admissions from scratch. I thought they were very truthful. I just underestimated that truth. Then having a baby, and then navigating a bunch of organizational changes that has happened. So there's been a lot that has happened in this 9 months. And I can tell you, it is the cohort and having conversations with them, and hearing their sense of motivation. You got this. It's reminded me to that I can do it, but also each time I was able to come to the program, it also reminded me of what I said my end goal was going to be. Why did I want to be a part of this program? And then the different faculty that came in and started to teach and talk to us, and the conversations began to get very robust. And then we've been able to bring a lot of our own personal experiences in. And so hearing that you're not in it by yourself, there's other people that are navigating it too. So then Jam's story began to be motivating. So many different people's stories began to motivate you to say that you can do it. And that's the power of network. And that's not only just about network and having a village, but it's a village that's in the same industry that you are part of. It can understand the nuances and the challenges that goes along with the work that you do. The other part is an open up of doors around understanding people's work differently, right? When I got here, me and the registrar, there was some dynamics that I had to learn and navigate because of what the previous director had. And so I'd inherited a bad interaction with the registrar office. And so I had to learn what does the registrar role was. And thankfully I had several cohort members who were registrars that began to provide insight. So you begin to learn more about other people's role and how their offices and how all of our work interconnects with each other, that ultimately serves the same goal that we're trying to do is our students. Right. So yeah. So I mean, the network is powerful. And I can't wait to continue this relationship with our peers. And I'm gonna tell you, when you join this program, do it early. Create a text messaging group that you all can stay connected in, because I mean it's a powerful asset to have, to be able to contact a village of folks across the United States. So
Thanks, Delante. You know what, Tara, I think I'd love to hand this off to you to answer because I think you've gone through more transition, and I'm happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn about my transition if that's helpful.
Yeah, I have to say that what motivated me is the cohort, and each individual brought something to the table. No matter, even if they were going through something, they all brought something to the table. Um, I my coach was just, and I needed someone at the time to just listen to me as a Black woman in higher education. I needed someone because I was going through a lot in my in my role. My last day of that job was yesterday, and I was going through a lot, and I needed that push to, imposter syndrome with me was real. And I needed the push. I needed someone to tell me, yes, you are valuable. Yes, you can do this. So that was what kept me going. And life is life, and I get that from Jam. I'm a caretaker as well. My mother has Alzheimer's, and so I'm not only a caretaker for her, but I am also my stepfather's counselor in the middle of the day, all times of the hour. So, um, yeah, I think it was very helpful, and I would not be in the position that I am now. I'm going to Wagner College starting on Monday as the registrar, and I would not have been able to sit down in an interview for an hour and 22 minutes talking to the president if I was not in this program. I just wouldn't have been able to do it. All right, so I'll go into the next.
Before you go,
Next.
I want to say that from a different perspective, for a person who is prideful, who doesn't like to overshare, who doesn't like to burden people, I can honestly say, and Jonica knows, when I don't think I told my cohort that my family members had passed to like right before I got ready to submit my SIM capstone project. I did not allow them to go through that space with me, not because I doubted them, but because I'm not used to sharing that. I'm not used to having that professional network where I can invite my personal life into that space. And so when I told them the amount of support, the amount of love, it was there. And I don't regret things in life, but I do learn from them. And so my learning from that is when you have the people around you that are genuine, that are there for you, that are supporting you, be okay with allowing them in to support you. Even the small things of, I don't know what I'm doing on this SIM project, from Jonica saying 3 goals, 3 strategies, 3 tactics, to Sarah saying, we got this, to Delante giving his, he gonna give you a dissertation. You're gonna get a sermon, but it's a very much needed one, right? To me cracking the jokes, like it was always there from all 10 of us. And even in the end, when we thought we were gonna get completely through, we were still uplifting that one person. And we understand life happens and we're not going to push you, but my advice to the incoming individuals is, you send this here to guide you. What you take out of it, what you put in. So if you're not willing to put in to your cohort, you're not going to get the same or equal or greater value of experience that we got with C4.
I want to ask this next question. How has Ascend helped you in developing the departmental knowledge necessary to advance into executive roles or higher roles? And I just also am curious, has anyone in your current institution noticed any changes about you or made any comments or anything?
I can jump in here. I've worked as registrar almost all my adult life, and I have some other work in orientation, basically some student affairs, some academic affairs, always typically student facing. So I would say what's changed for me is I didn't have as much knowledge and still don't on financial aid and admissions. I would say of the whole SEM portfolio, those are the 2 areas I know the least. And so what's been foundational for this program for me is getting the deep dives from coaches and from others in the program. They have guest speakers and whatnot who do presentations on these areas. And so it gives a deeper perspective and a frame. And I also have contacts that if I ever wanted to advance into like a VP role, I would now actually feel comfortable doing that. And before this program, I don't think that I would have felt so comfortable taking a broader portfolio. Now I feel like I have enough foundation, enough resources, enough book referrals, enough professionals, both in my cohort group, because we had a really wide spread. So to the point that you don't have to be like in what you consider enrollment management, like you can come from any aspect and this program will be helpful for you. It could be any job really in higher education. And believe me, this program will be helpful for you. So I think that has really strengthened me inside. And I know that should something come up down the line, maybe something I'm planning. I feel like now I know how to approach my admissions officers more closely, or how I might want to partner with my financial aid officers more closely, where I might want to learn. Now I might go to their conference. Like there's things that I'm thinking of now strategically that I wouldn't have thought in that exact way before. So that's been really helpful. And I think just learning that like I know this, but I was kind of still in my lane. I think just how much this all intersects and how much more I'm mentally wanting to do those gymnastics to really like, where can we cross? How do we overlap? Let me just understand without any agenda your side. I think that's something that I approach now much more. I will always kind of have that bent, but now it's like cemented that this will help me be a better me at work. And I think it's also these learnings are translatable to my personal life as well.
I echo that. And it gives you another level of appreciation of the silent work that often goes unknown about other areas. Again, I am an admissions practitioner, right? And so much of the conversations at a lot of universities can be absorbed by admissions. But I got to learn so much about the registrar role, their contribution, the wide scope of the role, how actually powerful the role is on a lot of campuses to help me understand if I want this, if I want to be successful in this new role that I have overseeing the admissions pieces, how I need to partner with the registrar office in order to be able to meet that respective goal. And so it's about getting a deeper dive into understanding other people's areas, as well as I love the faculty who came in from a wide ranges of areas to be able to provide practical experience and talk about some things more practical and high level, as well as zooming down for us to be able to understand it. And I think that's all important because as you're thinking about that next move, you have to be able to zoom up and have the conversations with the right people. You have to be able to zoom down, zoom in, and zoom out to be able to have the conversation with the right people, all dependent upon your audience group. And having a diverse group that to meet each time, probably 3 times a month, allowed you to practice that. It allowed you to uh, it allowed you to practice that and become very comfortable engaging with multiple departments and perspectives about the work that we're doing. And when you go back to apply it in your day job, it became second nature, right? So yeah, so I appreciated that, and I think that has helped me a lot in my current role too, as a smaller institution where you have to wear even more hats. So yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna just be very transparent. Ascend has created a monster. And I say that in the sense of I'm on the ground. I'm student facing. I see students in and day out. I get to hear their woes, the joys, the strengths, the triumphs. And so I learned how to, because I'm a student of life. I've worked in the registrar, I've worked in admissions, I've worked in financial aid, I've worked in housing, I've worked in student affairs. And so being that I've had the opportunity to learn these different departments through my experience, I will be honest, I doubted myself because I've always been at the bottom of the totem pole. I never sat in a leadership position. Ascend has given me the confidence and the ability to speak the language, right? I can now sit with a dean of student success and say X, Y, Z and a third, because you now sit high and look low. For the sake of transparency, you forget what it's like to be on the ground. And at the end of the day, our product is student success. Our products is completing. Our products is getting students graduate and or transferred at the, at the community college level. And so Ascend has given me the tools to be confident, not only in myself, but confident in the things that I talk about, confidence in my research. And it just so happens that we were so talking about data and environmental scans right when I was talking about quantitative and qualitative methods in my doctoral program. So they kind of went hand in hand. So I had a well-rounded experience of what I was supposed to learn from SIM or Ascend and what I was supposed to learn from my program that allows me to now sit here. And they don't like it. It's okay. I'm going to push the envelope, but I'm pushing the envelope because I know the research behind what I'm doing. And I know that we're moving in a forward progression and y'all are slow. So let me push you along.
And I think for me, with the registrar background, speaking the language is key because, just learning about every department and learning that, everyone from the custodian at your school to the president has a part in enrollment and retention. Being able to speak the language helped me through my interviews. It really did. I want to open, there's, many more questions, but I think I want to open it up if we can to anybody else that just has questions. I want it to be more, we don't want to just talk to you. We want you to feel comfortable. Does anybody have any questions?
Dell has a question. Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for everything that you shared. And as Jonica mentioned, I'm actually a part of C5, so I'll be headed to SIM next week. And one thing that I would like to ask you all as it pertains to coaching, is there anything else that you wish you would have leveraged in those coaching relationships while you were going through SIM? I have met with like 3 different coaches. But I don't want to miss anything. I feel like there's so much that I can get. So that's the question that I pose to you all. Is there a way in which you would have leveraged the coaches more now being on the other end that you maybe wish you would have done while you were in the program?
I think for me, for me, it's like everybody has a different need. So all the coaches are wonderful. I mean, every one of them, and you can reach out to them as much as you want, whenever you want. But I think it just depends on the individual and your need at that moment. For me, I just needed my coach. I just needed her for what I was going through at my, past employer. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add.
So in the beginning, there's a I can't think of the right terminology. I'm going to say an assessment that we complete so that we can so our mentor coach can understand what it is that we need from them. What's our communication style, frequency, all those types of pieces. So that was a great opener. What I would tell you to take advantage of is when they say they are available to help you, they mean it. Whether or not they are direct mentor or coach, the other ones are so open to help you. And there was no small question or big question that I couldn't ask my coach or the other coaches. And Jam mentioned about sometimes the struggle with showing vulnerability. It is in that space that you can become the most vulnerable to be able to let you know what it is that you need, because you may not even know what you need until you become vulnerable. And that vulnerability could be your lack of knowledge around certain things. It could be, I don't know what my next move is. It could be, I'm trying to manage work and X, Y, and Z. They all have the lived experiences that can be able to help provide you an avenue for conversation. It's not to say they're going to give you all the answers, because it's not about giving you the answers. It's about having an opportunity to talk, as well as to be able to process so that you can make the right answer get to the right answer for yourself. And so that's what I would say.
I will say leveraging the opportunity outside of the actual work that's done in the cohort. I think I spent a lot of time with my coach talking about the SIM project and rather talking about the things that I needed to learn outside of that, right? I'll backtrack for just a second. So when I started the program, I don't think in my cohort, I wanted to be an athletic director. That was my goal. My goal was to take this and learn, strategic enrollment management so I can leverage myself as an athletic director. And I was very curious as to why I got the vice president of student affairs that had athletics under her. And I thought that was a correlation. I will clearly say I don't want to work in athletics anymore, no offense. But I do want to be in a VP role, more so VP of student success. And in that space, I don't think that I had the opportunity. Doesn't mean I'm not going to go back and bother Dr. Alicia, because I am, because she stuck with me. But I don't think that I leveraged the nurturing or the thoughts that she had and the knowledge that she had in the space as a VP. The other flip side of it is she did not play. She didn't give me sugar and cherries and rainbows. She gave me straight, no chaser. And I needed that. I didn't need to be coddled. I didn't need to be, swept under the rug. I needed to be straightforward. This is what this is, and this is how you handle it, and period. And so I do plan to go back, and I didn't leverage other coaches. I was very selfish. I got who I got. I didn't want to share, and I don't invite you to do that. Go learn, go build your network, go learn from others, go tap into, ask your cohort, hey, can I borrow your coach? Because they might know something that can pour into you that you didn't think you needed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I came in again, a new position. I knew I wanted to talk about my work, reorging. I needed to talk about the structure. I just wanted to talk through my transition. There was a lot I really wanted to talk about, and my coach was a perfect match. She's a VP. She has been there before, came from an admission side, but been there before. I was hoping to be matched with a Black coach, and I didn't have that, but my coach was like phenomenal. I wouldn't even change it now if I could go back. Like, my coach was such a perfect match for what I needed. So what I did is I spent all my time, whatever we had on the agenda, if something else came up in my work life or just I was struggling with, and I was like, no, I just need to talk to you about this. That's what we talked about. And she was so flexible to just meet me wherever I was at. Always. And I think what was so amazing for me is that she would relate. It was never about her. It was more about, like, well, here's something I'm going through. Let me just break that down. Here's something I'm going through. And it always related to what I was doing. And so without telling me how to do something, she was just sharing, this is how I'm doing it. This is what I'm struggling with. Or like, hey, Sarah, that's real. Like, I struggle with that too. And it just really, I never felt like, there was this domineering or anything like that. It was just full acceptance and like, how I'm here for you. I'm 1000% in your corner. This is a confidential conversation. She knows my boss, and she is well connected in the industry, but it was confidential, and it was like, whatever you need, this is what I'm here for. And I wasn't talking bad about my boss, but I'm just saying, sometimes you don't want to be that vulnerable. And for me, I was like, I'm new. I've got to kill this. Like, I got this job. Like, I need to be able to back it up. And so I was able to have these conversations with her. I'll also quickly add that I was blessed to be in a different coaching program at Berkeley. It was a people management program where I was able to just get like better up coaching. And so it was really interesting for me to weigh both types of coaching, having a personal coach that could just talk about anything in my life. Again, I could also talk about strategy, and then having this Ascend coach that would be a foundational coach in my industry. And I would say, hands down, having a foundational coach in my industry who actually gets my work, I was able to dive so much deeper and get more resources in this realm than I ever would have been able to get, even from folks who've done strategy and, all kind of industry in the other platforms. So I highly recommend it. Like, for the money, it's invaluable. And I would also say I leveraged other coaches. So my coach and I were working on a project, and I was like, I'm not sure. I'm still stuck. Like, we're still stuck. And I went to another coach, and they're like, oh, Sarah, I think I know where you're stuck. Reframed it for me in like 2 seconds. And it was exactly what we had been working on, but I couldn't hear it. I couldn't see it. And I was stuck. And she just lifted that in like a 10-minute conversation. So I would say leverage the other coaches. Don't wait, jump in the coaching ASAP. And then also for me, sometimes was like, oh, I'm behind. I didn't get this. Life was happening. This was happening. And I was like too embarrassed to say, like, this is my third week in a row. I don't have it done. And I held back, and I would say, actually go and talk to them about strategy, where you're stuck, your project, whatever it is. Don't hold back, actually just be even more forthright. And that's something I didn't do enough.
I think one other thing is, and I learned this in one of the sessions, is that take advantage of the conference, and that don't just go for things that are based on what you do. Go, if you're a registrar, go to admissions, go to financial aid, like go and grasp all you can outside of what you normally do. And I wish I would have done that. And unfortunately, due to my new job, I can't attend this year, but I do regret that. Does anybody else have any questions?
If you do not have any questions that you want to ask just now, if my team, Tara, Delonte, Sarah, Just, if you could you put your information, drop your LinkedIn maybe? I encourage, even if you email me certain questions, like, I had a question about so-and-so, even though I am a participant, I recognize in leadership roles, right? We do have biases. I think this is the best program ever, but I'll ask you a couple of questions, and most likely I'll reach out to one of my cohort members without telling them anything and say, hey, this particular prospective applicant had a question, could you answer? Because I think it's necessary that we talk really, right, authentically one-on-one with one another. So if you don't have a question here in this space, please do outreach to these scholars. You'll find many others. They're often connected to each other. The other thing is they're all on the page. So even if there's someone who looks like you and you're like, I want a Hispanic male, we got one. I want an Asian female, we got one. I want a Black woman, I want a Black male, we got one. We have all diversity, right? So it's not this lens of diversity from the space of your ethnicity. It's diversity from the space of where are we coming into these positions, because every registrar without training and development, right, should not be going into the role of enrollment leader. If you haven't had thoughtful, engaging conversations, as Sarah said, right? Knowing how to connect the dots, having the acro competencies break down and merge for you in ways that you can be supportive to other individuals. Because if you don't understand what's happening in admissions and enrollment and financial aid, you can go in there very, very biasly. So it's about taking individuals like Jam from a coordinator role who definitely services students all day, giving her the support that she needs in the network, and then she ascends up confidently, knowing I don't need to know everything. I don't have to be expert. I know just enough, but I have connections to individuals who can, and I can go ask that question. But I can also tell you, hey, that is not my specialty. Okay, I am here. I'm rightfully here. I deserve to be here. But let me connect you to this. Or why don't you go to the ACRO conference, because that's in there? Or why don't you go to financial aid conference? Why don't you go to NACADA? Why don't you go to NODA? Like, go to whatever it is that you need. That is not my specialty. But what I can do is strategy. What I do know is a really good goal. What I do know what is feasible for the institution. But I don't have to tell you how to do your job. And that's one of the key leadership traits that I've seen happen. So please reach out to us. I hope this conversation was beneficial, not just to sell you a SIN, but if you look at any other program, I hope that you're looking for one that has a cohort, because that's necessary as we go through these life changes, right? It's not just about doing this thing alone, but it's how do I finish it? Even if you're looking at a doctoral program, look at a doctoral program with a cohort. It gets rough. Things get tough. You want to quit, and you need someone, an accountability partner, who's going to support you along that journey, walk alongside you, not in front of you, right? Give you some tips and tricks that you may not be thinking about because you're so knee deep in what you're in, and someone who can encourage you along the way. So I hope that you don't take that a SIN may not be for you. A SIN may not be for you right now, but whatever you do, don't stop investing in yourself, and don't stop investing in how you move forward with your career. And I thank you so much for joining us today. We do have a poll. Belma's going to launch it super duper quick. And you're free to go after that. But we hope to hear from you. The application closes on December the 20th. And we look forward to supporting you in your journey. And hopefully, if you're coming to SIM, or if you're coming to annual meeting in Seattle next year, we look forward to engaging with you. But we're always here, and we love the dialogue. So if you want a whole a preach ceremony, Delonte is here, child.
And I'm
Give-
backing him up.
He gonna preach.
Sarah has words of wisdom. Tara has been through her own journeys and struggles, and Jam as well. So if there's a word of encouragement, but also, hey, I see you, go ahead and connect, network with people, and expand. But it doesn't have to be with the Sam. We just wanted to make sure we provided these spaces for you to understand how important professional development is. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Tara, Sarah, Jessica, and Delonte.
Please connect. We're happy to chat with you anytime.
As soon as you finish, you're free to exit. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the poll, everyone. Have a good day.